Welcome to the Black Script Storytellers. My name is Kevin Marable, and today our guest is an actor, writer, producer, and creative force who is redefining what independent storytelling looks like in the digital age. She is the creator of the hit web series The Comic Shop, a bold, culturally grounded, and humorous project that has captured a growing audience and sparked real conversation within the comic and fandom community. What makes her journey even more impactful is how she brought the vision to life, raising over $207,000 independently producing the series, proving that both strength of her voice and the power of community-driven support is on her side. Her work sits at the intersection of culture, identity, and fandom, offering a fresh perspective that continues to resonate with audiences online. Please welcome Cheyenne Ewulu. Cheyenne, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. And also thank you for saying my last name right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I try to pronounce things properly and make sure that I say it correctly. Everybody deserves the respect of, saying their name correct. So,
I
um,
appreciate it.
yeah, absolutely. Well, Cheyenne, I appreciate you joining the platform. I appreciate you taking time out to talk about your series, which I thoroughly enjoy. I thought it was a breath of fresh air. It's something that's needed. And it's it's kind of in a genre that's not really, tackled. So I thought that was interesting. But I like to start off every interview with a very simple question. Everybody has a different answer for this. Some might find it a little difficult to answer. So are you
Okay.
ready? That,
Hmm.
that question is, who is Cheyenne Ewulu?
I knew you were going to ask that. I knew you were going to ask. I was like, he's going to say, who are you? Uh, I'm just a girl from Long Island, New York. Originally born in Queens.
Okay.
I'm a girl who, grew up in, I don't want to say, I mean, Long Island is not like, a small place or anything, but like I grew up in New York, made my way to Texas, and
Mm,
then ended up making my way to Los Angeles to chase my dreams. The everybody's reason for
yeah.
moving out here is to chase their dreams of being in film and TV. And yeah, I guess that's me. Oh, I'm also like a huge gamer. I love comic books, so hence making a show about a comic book store.
Right.
Um,
It made
and
sense.
yeah, and yeah, oh my gosh, who am I? I'm just a girl. I'm literally just a girl. I don't know.
It's all right. It's all right. Everybody has a different answer. And I find it interesting to ask that question, to kind of open things up, let people know who you are as a person outside of what it is that you do and what you're, striving to do at the same time. It gives some relatability when people watch and listen. And, it's good to, be able to showcase the human side of things as well. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your journey, and we'll start from kind of from the beginning. So you said you're from Long Island, New York, and you made your way to Texas and then eventually to LA.
Hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about that process and why did you stop in Texas before making it to LA?
Literally had no choice. Had no choice. My parents just got different jobs everywhere, and
Okay.
everywhere that they went, I went. And yeah, and I knew when I got to Texas, I knew immediately that I wasn't going to stay there long term. And so I went to school. Um, I went to school in Dallas, and I went to the University of Texas at Dallas.
Mm.
Go Comets, I guess. I don't. Does anybody say that? I don't know. But yeah, and I just knew Texas was too much of a. It was too quiet for me. I think I always knew that I would end up back in another big city,
Hmm.
but it wouldn't be New York. I just wanted something like new. And
Hmm.
I've always had my eye on Los Angeles, the glitz and glamour of LA and Hollywood and all that stuff. And so I made a promise to myself that after I graduated, I would take the steps needed to move. Um, and of course, my parents were just like, "There's no way. Like you're not moving. We're not allowing this to happen."
Hmm.
Um, you know, African parents. They want you to be at their hip, you know, to
Right.
the last
Right.
day. So, but but yeah, you know, funny for not, I guess it's not so funny, but basically what had happened was I got into a car wreck. Somebody hit me on my way to uh when I was like on my way back home. I think this was like near Thanksgiving
Hmm.
at the time, and somebody had hit my car, totaled it.
Wow.
And while it was traumatic, it gave me the courage and the settlement money to be able to move to Los Angeles. And so literally I took that money and I ran. I was like, great.
Yeah.
This was a sign. I don't know what kind of sign, but it was a sign. It was what I needed to get out and start, you know,
Wow.
living my new life. And so, yeah, I can laugh about it now, but like,
Right. Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely. I know how it goes. I was just in a car accident less than 8 months ago. Me and my daughter. So trust me, I
oh
know all about
no.
it. Yeah. But
Oh yeah.
so that's okay. So that's crazy that that all happened. Obviously,
Mhm.
and you saw the signs there, like, hey, this is my way out, so to speak. And then you made your way to LA. And once you got to LA, did you already have a plan in place, or you were like, I'm just gonna wing it. Hopefully, I get things figured out once I settle in and meet people and figure it out.
So when I moved to LA, I was crashing at like friends' places. I was renting out Airbnbs. I had like a full-time job at the time that I hated. Like it was so soul-sucking and draining.
Mhm.
But you know, you had to do what you had to do.
Right. Yeah.
Um, but I didn't really have a plan. So like at the time I was really into the idea of like entertainment hosting. And I had a couple people reach out to me before I moved, encouraging me to move because you know those conversations where they're like, "Oh, you move, you know, I got jobs for you, I got gigs for
Yeah.
you, I'm gonna hit you up, like I'm gonna be hiring you everywhere." The moment
Yeah.
I moved, crickets,
Oh man.
crickets. All of those people who were saying that they had all these jobs and stuff lined up for me to, you know, host here, host there, crickets. So I really had to like move and
Hmm.
continue to grind and make a name on my own, make a name of my own. And yeah, yeah, it was, yeah. So it definitely was not easy. It definitely was not easy.
Okay. Okay. Um, and last question on the moving process and relocating. How long have you been in LA, or how long had you been in LA before things started to happen for you?
Oh my gosh. It depends on what you mean by things starting to happen.
Where you started to
Hmm.
you started to feel like you were getting some traction, at least maybe within your series, or you started to meet people and begin to network, and things started to you felt like things were starting to fall into place, or are you
Um,
still in that realm?
I feel like things definitely picked up in 2019 because that's when I realized I didn't have to have like a traditional 9 to 5 anymore at the time.
Mhm.
And I was making money through content creation and hosting, which was really cool. But at the end of the day, it wasn't what I came out here to do. And so
Right.
there was always a part of me that still felt like I didn't come out here, you know, I didn't move, you know, miles away from family to just, you know, be this content creator or this like internet comedian or this or just like a, you know, an entertainment host. I just, even though it was fun and it was paying the bills at the time, it's just not what I moved out here to do. And so there was
Yeah.
always a part of me that just felt like, okay, eventually you're gonna have to put something aside to make something else shake.
Mhm.
um and so I would say, as far as like film TV, maybe not until honestly, maybe not until a year and a half ago. Maybe I think when I completed the Kickstarter,
Mhm.
which was in end of 2024, early 2025,
Wow.
that's when I felt like, okay, I'm showing folks that I have, you know, ideas that people want to invest in. And I feel like that's when I started, you know, being pointed at me or started looking towards me, looking at me and my show, and you
Mhm.
know, all the press started coming, and people finally started recognizing me as actress, writer, versus before it was like content creator, um,
Uh,
anime fan, like all of the names that I did not move out to LA to be. But now I feel like people start taking me seriously, and they're like, "Oh, she's a actress, writer, producer." Like even just like what you said, this no people wouldn't have been saying that like in 2022. You know, I would still be fighting to for people to recognize me as an actress and
right.
a writer and all of these things that I moved out here to be, because I was so I guess I was so entrapped in like the life that was working for me at the time instead of,
Hmm.
being brave enough to like go after what it is that I wanted to do, which was be in film and TV. So I would say maybe until like after the Kickstarter. Um, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. So just speaking in all of those titles, actor, writer, producer, and self-proclaimed geek, which came first?
definitely the geek. For sure. For sure. I've always been a nerd. I've been a nerd since my dad got me my first SNES as a kid. He didn't know what he was unleashing by doing that.
Yeah.
But my parents would buy me and my siblings the latest game system so that we could stay out of trouble and stay inside.
Hmm.
Which might sound like depressing to other people, but we were like, we loved it. We were just like, hey,
Yeah.
we got like new game systems every year, just to keep us indoors and out of trouble and out of harm's way, and.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, no, geek, nerd, whatever you want to call it, it definitely that came first for sure.
Okay. Okay. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the comic shop. Um, I have not seen it. Well, maybe I did because you can tell me if this is the pilot episode or not. But I saw that the comic shop was initially a 13-minute short film before you developed the series.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So in 2022, um, I had wrote. That's like when I came up with the concept was around in 2022, and I had given it to my friend Matt, who's the DP for the show,
Hmm.
and he read it and he was like, "This is such a unique idea. I think we should, do something with it." And at the time, we had no budget. It was like literally me and friends of friends just getting together to shoot something cool at this woman-owned comic book store at the time in Burbank, called the Perky Nerd, which no longer, it's no longer. But yeah, we just wanted to create something cool, and I really had no plans for it. I remember like submitting it to festivals and stuff, and like getting a few bites at like Michaud Film Festival and Atlanta Film Festival, which was cool.
Hmm.
Um, but I really didn't have plans for it until we made a trailer out of it, and then it just went viral everywhere. Like the trailer for the proof of concept just went viral everywhere. And once I realized, and a lot of the comments were like, "Where can we see this?" Is it like people were thinking that was already on Hulu or some streaming service, and a lot of people
Absolutely.
were like, "Yeah," and a lot of people were like, "Where can we see this?" Um, I'll put money down to watch something like this. You know what I mean? And so we kept getting comments like that, and I guess that gave me the courage to be like, okay, maybe we have something, and maybe we need to take a closer look at this and see what we can do to make it a reality. And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
This is
fast forward maybe like a year and a half later, we did the Kickstarter, and the rest was history.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I'll be the first to admit, I get a bunch of emails. You had emailed me early on. I missed the email somehow, and I stumbled across the video or a video of you promoting it online. I want to say it was Instagram. And then when I went to go to send you a message, I realized that you had sent me an email, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry that I missed this." But it caught my eye immediately. It looks professional. It is professionally shot. It was reminiscent of The Office meets Modern Family meets Abbott Elementary meets, the comic shop, but it's in a lane of its own, being that it's a genre that really hasn't been touched. Um, and I thought it was brilliant. I thought the perspective is brilliant. The humor is there. The cast is great, you know. Um, And so I was in my mind, just like everybody else, I'm like, why is this not a thing? Why is this not already on TV? And so that's when I reached out to you and said, hey, I really love what you got going on. You know, what, what were your plans for the series? Because I saw you put it on YouTube. And so I was a little curious as to why you chose to put it on YouTube and not another platform, maybe like Tubi, or try to pitch it to other networks. And I didn't know if you had already begun doing that, so I was just curious to know where you stood there. So yeah, I'll let you go from there.
Yeah, it's not that I didn't try. So before I did the Kickstarter,
Hmm.
I tried to pitch the show, through friends who, knew execs and things like that. And, there's so many people behind the scenes who were like rooting for the show,
Yeah.
but it was the execs, with the Munyon who just weren't seeing the vision. Uh, and for
Crazy.
me, I feel like I can show you better than I can tell you.
Right.
Um, and I think one of the notes that I got was from like a production company who was thinking of, putting money behind making the series a reality. But it was like very obvious that like with conversations that I would have with them that they didn't fully understand the heart of the show and like why
Mm.
the show was being made and what made the show so unique and fun. And I remember them saying something like, um, oh, I read the script. It's funny, but you should tone down on the nerdy jokes because, black folks wouldn't understand a lot of these jokes. Like black folks wouldn't get a lot of these jokes. Like it's going to be hard for, that audience to get a lot of these jokes. And I just remember looking like, and this is a black person telling me this,
Yeah.
by the way. And I just remember looking like, and I told them, I was like, do you think that they looked at, Big Bang Theory scripts and told them to
Right.
tone down any of the nerdy jokes? And they were like, oh, I guess not, like, haha, whatever. And I think it was after that conversation that I was like, okay, if I want this done right, I need to do this on my own, clearly. Um, and so that's really what gave me, put the fire in me to,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
launch my first Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not like I definitely tried, but the
Yeah.
girlies, between the strike and like there's just so much going on at the time,
That's true.
and
That's
yeah,
true.
and it's so hard to pitch shows with new faces, and one thing that I didn't want to do was I'm in love with my cast. I'm in love with Shanae, who plays
Mhm.
Dominique, Grayson, who plays Connor,
Yeah.
Zeno Robinson, who plays Keith. Like I love
Great
those guys.
cast.
I mean, those
Yeah.
are
Great
yeah,
cast.
those are fresh faces that deserve to be seen more. And it's unfortunately not the most appealing thing to a lot of execs to have new faces. And so
Oh, like a whole
um,
cast of new faces?
oh yeah, a whole and like not even one
Right. Recognizable face
super
or
face,
name.
yeah, super visible. Like it's just a cast of all green folk or green in their eyes, and so there were like a lot of factors that went into why execs weren't biting, but it didn't matter to me in the end because I was like, I'm just gonna do this myself. And then as far as putting it on YouTube, um, it was such a community effort,
Mhm.
that I just really wanted the community to be able to see it, and
Right.
um, and so that's when I was like, you know what, we're just gonna do a YouTube run and see where that goes, so that way everybody can see it for free.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
I really just wanted people to see it. I didn't really think like this was gonna catapult my career in any crazy
Yeah.
way or like I just wanted people to see the thing that I had created. And if that meant putting it on a platform like YouTube, then it made sense to me. So um, yeah, I hope I answered that question.
You did. You did. And I also, add a little extra to it by saying that I felt like you checked all the boxes, the key art, like the photography, like the vibe and the feel of how everything looked before you even watched a first episode of anything. It all looked appealing. It all looked professionally done, professionally polished. There was nothing that showed that this was independently done or done with a smaller budget whatsoever, in my opinion, my eyes. And obviously, being what I do, I see a lot of content come through the door, and not everybody is on that, on that level. So when I saw all of that, I was just surprised. And then also, I'm equally surprised to hear that execs didn't really get it, behind closed doors, and you're still fighting to make your presence known, get people to understand where you're coming from, understand this lane. I clearly understand it. And you mentioned the Big Bang Theory, which is one of the largest shows, maybe behind Friends or maybe ahead of Friends now. Um, it's huge, so I
Mhm.
don't understand how that could have been an issue. But I do understand the green faces and taking a risk on all new talent. I do understand that part, but I think that this, definitely could have been done and could have been picked up. So do you have any idea as to where you're looking to go with it now? Are you still pitching? Are you still looking for it to be picked up? Or are you kind of um, still in the development phase? Are you working on a season two?
Yeah, so the goal is to keep the comic shop independent. And so we're really just right now, I just recently was signed to M88,
Yeah,
which kudos on
congratulations.
them for taking a
Yeah.
taking a chance on me. Shout out to Khalid, my manager. He's so awesome. And so right now we're just looking for partners in production.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what we're doing right now. I season 2 creative is complete. This is you getting the scoop because so many people have been asking me. Season 2 creative is complete. I know exactly what I want season 2 to look like, to feel like, to how I want it to go. It's just a matter of finding the right partners, and getting that funding. So those are the conversations that are being had right now, and so we're
Okay.
just kind of like trying to weigh our options.
Sure. Sure.
But all that to say is we're keeping it independent. I don't foresee. I always say like I want this to be maybe this needs to be my awkward black girl, right? My awkward black girl that eventually leads to my insecure, and I
Hmm.
just feel like there's so much heart in the show independently. I fear taking it to like you know, a different level in that way, trying to, put it out there and pitch it. There's just so much that goes into development and all that stuff. And then the idea that, things would change drastically if the comic shop was on a network TV show, you know what I mean? As it's just
Right.
not what yeah, no. I just love
Envision.
everybody a part of it too much. And I love being able to hire my friends
Mhm.
and that's really the heart of the show for me is being able to do this with people that I adore. And so
Mhm.
so we're keeping it independent. I decided we're keeping it independent. And as far as distribution goes, that's that's another conversation, but we're keeping it
Got
independent. So yeah.
it. Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. Let's talk a little bit about the funding behind it. You were able to raise $207,000 through crowdfunding. Was that all through Kickstarter, or did a certain portion come from somewhere else, and then you got another portion through Kickstarter?
No, that was all from Kickstarter. That was all from Kickstarter. Yeah, that was all through Kickstarter.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, we got really lucky and we were really fortunate that we had, a lot of people very much interested in the project, even though all we had was a 1 minute trailer,
That's
1 minute
crazy.
low budget trailer. Um, People saw the vision, and
Yeah.
we were very lucky that they did. And
Mhm.
I'm super thankful, even though it was definitely it's definitely work.
Right.
Kickstarter's crowdfunding is not easy. Shout out to everybody who's, trying to crowdfund right now. It is not easy.
Mhm.
But yeah. Very thankful.
Yeah. No, and I feel like that's important to ask, and there's a lot of people out there trying to do the same thing that you've been able to accomplish, and to your point, are having a hard time at it. Um, so it's always interesting because a lot of people I talk to, they say, finding the budget is the hardest part, and getting the money and the financing and everything right is the hardest part. Um, so yeah, $207,000 off of a 1 minute trailer is crazy. Um, let's see. So I know the first season is 6 episodes. Will the second season also fall in line with 6 episodes? Or are you gonna extend it? Or you're not ready to reveal that yet?
No, actually, our fans have really been wanting longer episodes. Like a lot of people, attention spans, you just can never gauge them.
Yeah.
But I know when it comes to long form videos, folks like them long, and so the only reason the episodes were so short was because we're 15 minutes was because budget, literally just budget. I had originally when I wrote the scripts, they were all written for a half hour. But I had to cut it down because filming in LA is expensive, and we just didn't have the budget for longer episodes. But the idea for season 2 would be to have longer episodes, um, and 8 episodes, a full 8 episodes to make like a full season. And
Yeah.
so yeah.
Okay. And the length will extend from 15 to about 24 to 30 minutes, something like that. Half hour TV series.
Maybe a little shorter. I don't know. We're still talking about it. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got you. Let's talk a little bit about the rest of your cast. I want to give them a little bit of light as well. Uh,
yeah.
if you can speak on who they are, maybe how you met them, and why they were pivotal to being a part of the comic shop.
Yeah, so I handpicked everybody in the cast myself. Whether I reached out or had a friend reach out. Everybody, was somebody that I handpicked and just felt would be perfect for their respective roles.
Mhm.
As far as the main cast goes, Zeno Robinson, he's a voice actor. He voiced in like a lot of video games, anime, animation.
Wow.
Um, and I'd known him for years. We had always been in the same spaces. Apparently, we found out that we went to the same acting school at the same time. We just didn't know each other. And so yeah, I had history with Zeno, and I remember I hit him up, I think in 2021, 2022, when I first like was tinkering on the idea of the show. I
Hmm.
told him, I was like, hey, I have an idea for you. I hope that you do on camera stuff too, because I think you would be really perfect for this character.
Hmm.
And he would always just tell me, let me know, let me know, let me know, I'm ready, let me know, let me know, let me know. Um, and then obviously we, filmed our proof of concept in 2023.
Hmm.
And that was the first time that I saw him become Keith. And I was like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, he just brings so much flavor and like so
He
much to the
really
character.
does. Yeah, and the
Yeah.
chemistry is there, but between all of them, honestly, but
Mhm.
you can really see, like, you guys, it's not forced, and
Yeah.
humor comes out of just the smallest things. You can see that everything just worked cohesively.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you're saying that because that's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
Um, and then there was, and then for Dominique, so Shanae Cole, she's a twin. She plays Dominique. Yeah, she's a twin.
Is she is her twin the one the first comic book day? That's her
Yeah,
twin.
that
Okay.
was her twin. That was her twin. People were like, "Oh, we thought that was CGI." I was like, "CGI with what budget? With what budget?" Um, but yeah, so there were a couple people I had in mind for Dominique.
Uh-huh.
But Shanae, I remember, so I had known Shanae for a while too, on and off. And I just remember seeing her like while just like passively scrolling on social media. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I think she had just done a gig with a gig, she just had a role on Grownish at the time. And I was like, oh, this girl's an actor for real, for real.
Yeah.
And she just looks like she could play a character like this. And, I told her about the idea. She was like, absolutely, 100% I'm in, even before I sent her the script.
Hmm.
Um, and, that was another one where
Wow.
we shot the proof of concept and she was perfect. She was just amazing. I definitely Dominique head to toe. Um, and then as far as finding Grayson Niles, who plays Connor, a lot of people think that Connor was an addition for the full web series, but like Connor had already had been,
A a part of
written
it.
in the show prior. I just
Mhm.
didn't know who I wanted to play him. Like he was just the one that I could not figure out who I wanted to be this character.
Yeah.
And so we kind of just like left him out when we were shooting the proof of concept and the 12-minute short that we did because I just did not have anybody in mind.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, so I was watching this web series, this Dungeons and Dragons web series called The Party on YouTube. Please check it out. It's so well
Okay.
made.
Okay.
Um, and although I'm not like huge on Dungeons and Dragons, I was just kind of watching it because somebody had recommended it on TikTok, and it was so random. It was like this TikTok video that had like less than 400 views. It was like just randomly popped up when I searched web series, and
Right.
this guy was talking about The Party, which was like a Dungeons and Dragons web series, and I was like, oh my gosh. Um, and so I'm watching the web series, and Grayson pops up, and I'm just like, he just looks like he could play a bratty
Yeah.
former frat boy who really loves Dungeons and Dragons. Um, and so I reached out to him. I found his social media. I reached out to him like a million times. He is not active at all.
Oh,
I think it took him like 2 or 3 weeks to get back to me. And
wow.
I was not giving up. I was like, no, you are him. Like, I
Yeah.
need you. I need you to respond because you are him. And so he got back to me. We met up for coffee, talked about the role, and the rest was history.
Wow.
And Connor, to this day, is one of my favorite characters in the show. He's just so funny. He's not like your typical token white
Right.
kid. I feel like he's just like so.
He's quirky, but it's like the right type of quirky. It
Yeah,
it just
and
it just
and
works.
yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
feel like he's like unapologetically white, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of white characters, when they're surrounded by black people, they feel the need to be overly progressive, overly
Right.
woke, which is great.
Yeah.
And people were, comparing Connor to like other token whites that they had seen on TV before, and I was like, don't let him fool you.
Mhm.
This is a former frat boy. Like his lore is insane, and I really want to explore it more, hopefully in season 2.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, he's just a fun character. I love it when a character is just
Yeah.
unapologetically them, and I feel like that's just him. That's all the characters. Like we're all unapologetically ourselves, and he's just so fun to write. They were all fun to write.
Mhm. Well, let's talk a little bit about your writing, actually. How
Mhm.
long have you been writing, and when did you know that this was something that you really wanted to do, as far as being a writer?
Yeah, I always tell people that I didn't consider myself a writer till I moved to Los Angeles and felt like I had to be. Literally only started writing so I can write roles for myself.
Mhm.
I guess I'm like a selfish writer in that way because I literally did not consider myself a writer until I moved to Los Angeles and
Mhm.
wrote my first short film in like 2019,
Mhm.
which was like, this horror movie called Ex Roommate. You can find it, it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Um,
I saw that was one of your shorts on, IMDb. I didn't get a chance to
yeah,
check.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I always, I had taken like screenwriting classes in college.
Okay.
When I moved here, I took more screenwriting classes. But I really only write when I feel like a story on my heart and that's like strongly on my heart. And yeah, so I guess I'm a writer, but I feel like I was forced into being a writer because I wasn't really seeing myself in anything. And,
Yeah.
so yeah, I hope that
No,
makes
you
sense.
you I'm here to tell you, you are a writer because that is it's not easy to write comedy, for one.
Yeah.
Um, and for two, listening to you say that you had to cut down your episodes to make it fit the 12 to 15-minute window. That's also not easy to do, to cut it
At
down and
all.
also make it make sense, um,
Hmm.
within your writing when you're excluding so much that you've already written that's supposed to be a part of that episode. Um, and I guess my question, you said since 2019 and it's 2026, so roughly 7 years, 6 and a half, 7 years. But you do have some background. You had some education in screenwriting, so that also helps. I wanna ask, is comedic writing what you want to do? Or do you have a passion to write and maybe drama? maybe in the dramedy, or do you have other genres that you're curious or thinking about getting into writing wise, or is it strictly comedy?
Yeah, I think right now I'm getting my feet wet with comedy, and so I a lot of the pilots that I've written now are all comedy.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe I would love to act in a drama, but I don't know about writing a drama. But I think
Okay.
comedy is just like number one for me right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to patch you into a friend of mine that's out there. Her name is Allison Faust. I don't know if you're familiar with the name.
Mm-mm.
But she was discovered by Keenan Ivory Wayans back in the day. She was a writer on the Keenan Ivory Wayans show. She had her own series as a showrunner on Bounce TV called Act Your Age with Tisha Campbell,
I
Tim
think they
Whitley.
follow me.
She probably does.
Yeah, they might. They might
Yeah,
follow
Allison
me.
Faust. She runs a class right now for comedic writing, and so
Mm,
she's training up a whole bunch of new and emerging comedy writers, and teaching them how to
nice.
get into that field. So I have to, you know, patch you into her and see if you guys can connect out there.
Would love
Uh,
to. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Um, okay, so that's pretty much all that I have. I don't want to like dig too much into like personal business or anything like that. I did want to ask about how you were able to land representation at M88, because I'm naturally just curious about that. Um, I'm kind of fans of the company, Macro,
Mhm.
Charles D. King. So I was just that was a question for myself, really.
Yeah, no. Literally, they reached out to me, and I'm learning now that that's the best way to go
Yes.
about things is when the reps reach out to you.
Okay.
Um, and so, yeah, I had been looking for a manager for so long, and I just haven't had any luck. And then, once the comic shop was out, once all the hubbub was out, my manager had reached out. My now manager reached out to me on Instagram and was like, "Hey, love what you're doing. Would love for you to stop by the office and we chat." And I was like, "Oh, but you know what's crazy? I used to cold email a lot. I used to
Okay.
cold email a lot. And like my current manager, I cold emailed a bunch of folks at M88. Like maybe this was like in 2024, before I even did the Kickstarter. And crickets, literally
Yeah.
crickets, like nobody. So it's just so interesting how,
Comes
you
full circle.
know, yeah, it's very
Absolutely.
full circle. I told him I was like, hey, I have like tons of emails reaching out to a lot of folks here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, so
You were
I
you
feel
were
like
you were
you said what?
manifesting. I was gonna say you were manifesting at the time. You saw yourself there, and it just was a matter of time before it caught up to you and met you where you're at.
I think so, yeah. And for anybody out there who was like looking for representation, I would say build something on your own because that seems to be what a lot of folks are looking for. They're looking for folks who are building something on their own.
Right.
Um, And so, once you have that to show, be annoying about it. I feel like that's the only reason like so many people have found out about, me in the comic shop is because I'm very annoying on social media, I feel. Um, and be annoying about it and you just never know who's watching. Be your biggest fan
Absolutely.
first and then yeah,
Yeah.
be your biggest fan first and then, the right folks will follow and that's kind of like what I'm doing right now because I'm looking for an acting agent. And so I'm kind of just letting the universe do its thing. Um,
So
and
okay,
just,
well, let me ask you this. I'm sorry, didn't
mhm,
mean to cut you off. So you have representation. You have a manager at
mhm.
M88, but you're now looking for an acting agent.
Yeah.
For the folks that are listening or watching, w- what's the difference between having the manager at M88 and you having an acting agent? Why can't the one be the two?
Yeah. So my manager is mostly like film literary. And so I'm looking for like a theatrical agent. So theatrical would handle, yeah, would
I
handle
see.
the acting side of things. And so that's kind of what I'm looking for to finalize my team. And me and my manager decided that it would be better for somebody to reach out to me
Hmm.
And I agree. I agree. And so that's kind of like what I'm waiting on right now. I'm just like, okay, somebody will come. The right person will come. And until then, I'm just going to keep doing what I do. And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, Cheyenne, I like to give my guests the final word on every episode. And if you have a piece of advice that's been passed down to you, or words of encouragement, or a quote that you like to live by, you can say one of the three, or you can say all three. It's up to you.
Oh, a quote that I love to live by. So shout out to my homeboy, Jalen Blott. He directed episode one. Very good
Oh,
friend of mine. Fellow,
okay.
yeah, fellow Virgo. Um, One thing that he doesn't even know that I saw this, but this is the thing that kept like I was really I had like a lot of anxiety when we were doing the Kickstarter campaign. And there were times when I felt like giving up. Like I literally felt like, let me just forget that this ever happened and just like let the Kickstarter do what it does and like not pay attention to it anymore.
Mhm.
Because it was rough. It's like, trying to, get your work out there and get people to give a fuck is, it's not easy. And so I
Right.
remember we had like 7 days left to raise 80K to make the full 160K. And I had been scrolling on Twitter, and my friend Jalen had tweeted something that said, "You're not responsible for the outcome, only for the effort you put in." And when I tell you that quote rewired my brain chemistry so fast, I was
Mm.
like, yo, even if I don't make my goal, I at least want to be proud and say I want to be able to say that I'm proud of the work that I put in to at least,
Yeah.
to at least try. At least I can say I tried. And so when I saw that, everything in me just rebooted. Like I was like, yo, let me see what happens if I lock in for this last 7 days and
It
and
worked.
just see what happens. And we ended up raising way more than the 80K.
Yeah.
And I owe it to that quote because I was ready to give up. I really was. I was so tired of promoting every single day. um, it was just a lot. It was just a lot. But yeah, so I live by that quote now all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that you didn't give up. I'm sure many of other people are glad that you didn't give up.
Me
And
too.
like you've accomplished something that's in my eyes is incredible, and so many other eyes is incredible. There's a lot of us that do see the vision. And just from my perspective, like I told you, if there's anything that I can do to help uplift, push, get you connected to whoever behind the scenes, um, that I have access to, that's what I'll work towards, and that's what I'll do. Because I actively want to see people win, and that's really what the platform is all about, is you know, seeing more of us win and seeing more of our shows actually get greenlit and more opportunities for people like us within the business, because it's not easy. And even though we make it through the door and we get a season of something, that might be the only season that we get. Shows get
Right.
canceled all the time. So um, we deserve more opportunities. There's hella talent out here.
There's
uh,
hella talent. There's hella stories.
yeah,
Um, and they're not all the same.
right.
I feel like the comic shop is a story that's unique to me as somebody who frequents comic stores. And but there's so many other Black folks who, if you think the comic shop is different and unique, wait till you hear everybody else's stories. You know what I mean? And we just got to give them the platform and the money, to
Yeah.
be able to do, tell those stories and yeah, continue to show how amazing and beautiful and diverse being Black is. And
Mhm.
um yeah.
Amen. Amen. I do have one last question. I
Go
apologize
for
as
it.
you're saying it. What is, or what was your favorite comic book growing up, or comic book series?
Yeah, I didn't get into comic books until I was in college because I was
Oh,
finally making big girl money.
okay.
And I could finally spend money on things that, that I wanted to instead of like having to ask my parents. And
Yeah.
so, but the first comic I got was Batgirl of Burnside. That was the first comic I got, which was the Babs Tarr Batgirl run. Um, and I picked it out because the art was amazing. The art was
Wow.
beautiful.
Wow.
Um, and that was pretty much what got me hooked. on
Hmm.
comics. Like I'd always been into, you know, animated shows, like a lot of the animated shows and like Batman animated series, Batman Beyond.
Hmm.
And I'm a DC girly at heart.
Okay.
But but yeah, that was the comic that made me be like, okay, the comics are the real deal. I need to learn about every character, and now I have like this whole collection right here. You can't see, but my whole let
All
me
DC comics.
I have my whole little comic book collection.
Wow.
And that's
Wow.
not even this is like 20, this is like 30% of it. The rest is in storage.
Yeah.
And so these are just my trades. These are literally just
Okay.
my trades.
Okay.
Um and so yeah.
No, that's dope. That's dope. I'm a Marvel head myself. I
Yeah.
do like some DC comics. Definitely Batman, Superman. But I'm a kid from the '80s, so I grew up on, like all of the iterations, leading up to. I probably stopped collecting comic books early 20s, so it's been a minute, but I still try to follow and be up on, what's going on. But yeah, definitely a Marvel head, and I started with Spider-Man, of course. uh
Nice. That was my first action figure was Spider-Man.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, but that's dope. And there are plenty of black nerds, black geeks, black, we love all types of things, um and so it's cool, and it's also cool just to see, a woman that's in the comics as well, so
Yeah,
that's
there's
dope.
so many of us, man. We're out here.
Well, thank you so much, Cheyenne. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. And I'm sure everybody, when they watch this, is going to enjoy your episode as well. If you guys have not checked out the comic shop, it is available now on YouTube as well as the Black Script Network. Thank you so much for allowing me to be able to showcase it as well. And I'll let everybody know that you guys will not be disappointed whatsoever. It's a great series, 6 episodes, and there's plenty more to come. So, Cheyenne Ewulu, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much.